Welcome back to the channel. So you want to build a retro AR, right? You saw a video from your favorite YouTuber. Maybe that's me. I doubt it because I only have, I think, like 200 subscribers. But let's say in this imaginary world, I'm your favorite YouTuber, and you saw one of these retro AR vids and you're like, man, I just gotta have it. I got to have that A1 or maybe an A2 carry handle. Maybe you want to clone a Black Hawk Down Blood Diamond, that's a popular one. Or maybe you want something old school like an XM177, an M16, an XM16. You got a lot of options. So one of the first ways that you can get into building one of these or buying one is going to be on Gunbroker. Now, Gunbroker is pretty notorious for being extremely expensive. This C7 on Gunbroker is going for about $450. That's for a new upper receiver. You also have to compete on Gunbroker. That's one of the big downsides. It's an auction-based system. They do have buy it now for some things, like eBay. Some upsides of it is you're probably going to be able to find what you're looking for. If you're looking for like a C7, if you want to do like that Black Hawk Down look, you will probably be able to find one. The problem is that, like I said, they're going to be at least $400 to as high as I've seen $3,800 for a completed upper that had it was like the Gordy carbine build. If you go out and you buy these parts on Gunbroker, you're kind of giving into that scalper behavior, and they're kind of these parts are going to continue to be scalped because people are willing to pay $3,000 for an upper. Another option is going to be Armslist. This is much more peer-to-peer. It's real hit or miss. It's really dependent on your area. You can kind of go outside your area, but the problem is that they may not ship firearms. People are real finicky about that kind of thing. So it's just be careful with it, because it is like Craigslist. You're meeting people randomly to, you know, buy these guns and whatnot. I have found quite a bit of pieces. Usually you'll find a lot of like old Bushmasters or Colts. You'll see a lot of complete guns on Armslist. So another way that you can kind of source these guns are going to be your local forums and your state forums. Also ARFCOM, AR-15.com. There's a used marketplace that you can go on, and people are always posting these older parts. But the problem is that, like, for example, on AR-15.com, the forum, there's no guarantee. Like, you can't really go look for retro parts. They just pop up randomly. You just got to be ready to buy. Keep in mind that you're going to be battling the hordes of unemployed and autistic people when you're going to compete on these forums, because people are just going to scoop these parts up because they're so hot right now. State forums, as far as those go, my state is kind of a FUD state, so I wasn't able to really find anything. I saw a lot of 1911s, a lot of Ruger 1022s, and like some older like hunting rifles and whatnot, but I couldn't really find these kind of parts. Now, for my forum, you have to buy into it to be able to post a willing to buy post. So maybe if I did that, I would have been able to find something a little bit closer, but it didn't work out that way. Another website you can use is Tackswap. People kind of know what they have on Tackswap. That's more of like I think of it as like the Zoomer millennial kind of like cool guy marketplace. You'll see a lot of night vision, that kind of thing. But they do have retro parts that go live on that site as well. The ones that I've had success with, local gun stores. I took a day pretty much and called all the local spots around here. I'd call people, talk to them, say, hey, you know, this is what I'm trying to build out. Do you know where I can find these kind of pieces? Well, I talked to one gun store and I was like, hey, I'm looking for like an old school A1 kind of build. Do you have any idea? Have you seen anything like that come through? Do you know where I can find those kind of parts? A lot of these gun stores can get police trade-ins or like old Bushmasters. You'll be surprised the kind of things that can walk into those gun stores, especially like pawn shops and whatnot. Well, I called this gun store and the guy was like, hey, I don't have one, but I know of another gun store in the same town that has an A1, an M16 A1. And I was like, okay, are you sure it's an M16? He's like, yeah. Called him and I was like, hey, do you guys have an M16 A1? Is that true? And he was like, yeah, I've had it since like 2008 or 2009 or whatever. And I was like, really? So I was like, okay. I called, you know, my wife. I was like, okay, I'm gonna coach you on this. I'm gonna show you. I was at work, so I was like, okay, look. We're keeping him down. I'm not gonna touch a table anymore. But I coached my wife. I was like, look, this is what a C7 looks like. This is what an A1 looks like. This is what an A2 looks like. Because I was at work, I couldn't go out and just, you know, go to the gun store. So I gave her a quick PowerPoint. I was like, this is what you're looking for. She's like, okay, I got it. She goes over to the gun store. She sees it and she's like, I think we're good. I was like, cool. And got verification, got the upper. It was just an upper at the time. But what had happened was that gun store had, I've talked about this in my retro in the M16 video. They had a bunch of police uppers that were M16A1 that they got from the military back in the 70s or 80s or whatever. And they had traded it to this local gun store for ammunition because that was during the Obama years. I guess ammunition was, I was like a little kid. I was like farting in the bathtub at this time. You know, I wasn't in the gun world yet. And ammo was, I guess, was short back in the day. 5.56, 223, I know 22 was pretty bad shortage of that as well. So the police needed ammunition, so they traded this upper to that guy, and they're like, hey, we'll give you this upper, we'll keep the lower because they're full auto, but you can have the upper for ammo. So he was like, okay, cool. He just threw it in the back of his shop and was there the whole time, just waiting for me to come and purchase it up. Got the furniture from US Collector Ordnance. Go check them out if you're trying to do these old school builds. Now, when I was going out to build my second gun, I was like, okay, I like the 20-inch barrel and everything. It is cool for the old school LARP, but I want that collapsible stock. I want that shorter barrel. I want to have a red dot on top. One more carry handle gun, and I'm done. Done building ARs. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and get a C7 upper. Now, this is one of the hardest uppers to get right now, but I was like, you know what, I'm on a mission. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this right. So I went on Reddit and I went into GAFS, which is gun accessories for sale, and I put a willing to buy post, just looking for a C7 upper. I actually had a lot of luck with that because a lot of guys started messaging me and they were like, hey, you know, Luth has slick slides in stock. Hey, I got an M16A1 normal one in stock. And then one guy messaged me, he's like, I got a C7 I just got from Luth, one of their last drops. And he's like, I'll sell it to you for, I got this one for 200 bucks. Now the MSRP, I think around 160. He sold it to me for like 200 bucks. He was like, kind of like a little rehoming fee. And I was like, dude, I'll take it. Now you gotta be careful when you're on Reddit and you're using, you gotta make sure you read the rules and you're not getting scammed. But he sold it to me and I was able to actually build out my 14.5-inch, you know, 723 clone. The tips that I have for you if you're trying to build these guns out is you have to stay persistent and you have to always be scanning. There'd be days where I would just get on my computer and I would scan for hours, all these resources, Gunbroker, Armslist, Reddit, you know, ARFCom, whatever it was, and I'd always be scanning everything like, okay, checking Gunbroker all the time pretty much. I ended up, you know, after about a month of actually really looking for these parts, I was actually able to build one out. I've got a little more modern parts in this gun and a little bit older parts in this one. This is kind of like my collector gun and this is my retro slant modern parts gun. A lot of the stuff you're gonna find that's gonna be cheaper is the reproduction parts. Now, who are the companies that are doing this? Now, Luth has done a lot of C7 and slick side uppers. They say that they're not gonna be doing any more C7s for the time being, but who knows really. Go on their website and you type in your email so you get notified if they do another drop. The big hitter though, when it comes to the reproduction, is going to be H&R PSA. So PSA bought out H&R and put the guy from Nodak Spud who ran that in charge of H&R. If you're not familiar with Nodak Spud, they were building a lot of the Brownells retro guns like 2019, 2018. So all the guns go live on PSA. At the time of this video, they have released uppers like your M16, XM16, and like one of the slick sides. They have new forgings in-house and they are producing new carry handle parts and bringing those to the market. They just were at SHOT Show and they showcased an M16, a 723 variant, and like I want to say it's a 633, 635. It's a little Colt SMG. If you want to find an H&R part, get on Google right now and type in Mike's H&R forum. You'll see his official ARFCom. When posts go live, he posts them there first. Sometimes even before PSA puts the guns or parts for sale on their website, they're on that forum first. He'll say, hey, in 15 minutes, we're going live. And you can kind of get ready. You can also follow the Retro AR Reddit. They also post when they get the information, but they're getting the information from Mike's ARFCom forum. So that's kind of like the original source you can go to. Some honorable mentions for building these guns would be TNTE. You know, they have forgings and they do reproductions as well. The only problem with that is that they will price gouge their parts up to that gunbroker price. So you got to be careful with them. Also, I've heard and read many stories online about people saying, hey, is TNT any good? And they're like, yeah, they're good if you want to wait 9 months to get your parts in. They're all made to order guns. So they just have a backlog that they're just not showing on their website. So you got to be careful with that. But these parts are getting kind of expensive. They're getting way harder to find. So you have to kind of come to the table with some money to play with. And at the end of the day, I think it's a fad that it's going to transition people are gonna be selling off their carry handle guns at some point because they're gonna be like, oh, we don't like this anymore. Like, it's not cool anymore. So they're gonna be selling them off, and you'll be able to get these guns for cheap. So you could just sit it out and wait for this whole thing to die off, and then pick these guns up for cheap. Or you may just get lucky. You walk into your local gun store and they have an old Bushmaster or an old Colt. Trade-in gun, and you can get lucky that way. But ultimately, it's all about having fun. I had a lot of fun when I was sourcing these parts to be able to find and research the old parts. If you enjoyed this video though, please like and subscribe, comment. You already know how to do all that stuff. If you have any questions on how to build these guns out, just leave a comment and I will answer your guys' comments. When I'm on the toilet, obviously, that's where everybody looks at the comments, I guess. Maybe I can help you out. Thank you for watching, and you guys have a great day.